Hey, good morning. We are already at it this morning in the Pratte gym, getting ready for another rather busy day. But listen, I found out yesterday that Dolores Lyons has passed away. She is survived by her husband Eddie and 5 children, daughter Terry, and of course those 4 sons, Mike, Mark, Eddie, and Gary. Listen, this woman gave her entire life to the community of Monaca. She was born in Conway, and she was everything about her children. And you know, I've often said, as I can hear my dryer running right now, my mother was 6 kids. That dryer must have been running constantly because they were always washing clothes, and I can attest to my mother and what she did with her 5 daughters and 1 son. But being a boy, we have that special connection with our mother, and they are always willing to go the extra mile. From when you scraped your knee and tore a hole in those brand new jeans that they said, listen, those are not the jeans that you're supposed to play in, okay? Or the tennis shoes that were meant to be good tennis shoes when you went to any kind of activity at the school. But we, as young men, were all about getting outdoors and playing and throwing a football, shooting a basketball, hitting a baseball. And the Lions boys were everything that was sports. Of course, Mark, my dear friend who has done such an incredible job at Central Valley as their football coach. And yes, the one daughter who truly, I'm sure, was very spoiled, and I can understand why. I love spoiling my daughter, Eva. All I know is this: when you have a rock in a community, someone as solid as Dolores Lyons, it's very hard to replace that person. PNA member, and then of course, endless hours donating her time, cooking, whatever it took, serving dinners with her husband, Eddie, of course, at the American Legion Post 580 here in Monaca. And that is a name that I have been hearing about for decades, going back to my early days of covering the Beaver County Courthouse and getting to know the then Mayor John Aniline Sr., and of course through the years in doing sports broadcasts, and I have done thousands of them, either on radio or television. It was always the Lyons family, and nobody loved Monaca sports more than that family. And of course, all of those epic battles with Rochester and the battle for the bridge and relations from that part of the world, it just was a great recipe for success. A mother's love. I've often said, and I'll say it again, to Terry, Mike, Mark, Gary, and Eddie, no one will ever love you like your mother. 2005, now 2017, and I've said this many times, there is not a day that I do not think about my mother, and oh, how I wish she was here. And there are certain mementos throughout this house that the only reason they're here is because as I take that journey through the second stage and the latter stage of my life, I can think of her and think of her endearing love. So all I ask you, the Lyons family, and of course Eddie, who's always been a hero of mine, just remember how much she loved you and take that with you throughout your life. No, it'll never replace her being there, but one thing's for sure, it'll keep her right here where she belongs. Mrs. Lyons was an incredible wife and mother, but more importantly, human being. And after all, those are 3 pretty good things to be judged on. And as far as I'm concerned, she truly excelled in each and every category. Arrangements were handled by Mark Giddings, who does such an incredible job at Harper Simpson's funeral home. I've talked to my friend John Diagardi many times from Rome Monument, and his father, Vince Sr., and their children, Vince Jr., and of course Diana, that these people, these funeral directors, what they do, it is an incredible task to be able to help people through tough times, especially when they're bereaving the loss of someone as special as the incredible mother that was and wife Dolores Lyons. So to Mark Giddings, always thank you for what you do for this community. And of course, Father Mark Ruffalo, Massive Christian Burial, and Anthony Giordano, their deacon at St. John the Baptist in Monaca. So tip of the hat to you, Mrs. Lyons, and thank you for just being you, a very special person. And of course, I agree, Monaca, there's no place like home. Have a great day from your Pratte Pack. Good morning.